Hey, everybody, we're back. Welcome back, guys. We're about to watch Tom Homan's press conference. So the raids are slowing down, but the political war looks like it's about to blow up. So the ICE surge is officially ending. And instead of a quiet wrap-up, Trump's border enforcer, Tom Homan, is taking a flamethrower to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. We can see him coming in now. So here we go.
Good morning. I'm Tom Homan, board czar, President Trump. I'm going to read a statement real quick. Then after I read the statement, I'll take questions. I'm here with Sam Molson, Director of ICE and Enforcement Mover Operations for the St. Paul Field Office. Stephen Schrank, Acting Special Agent in charge for ICE Homeland Security Investigations. And Chris Kuhn, Deputy Chief Patrol Agent for the United States Border Patrol. I'm very pleased to report that this search operation and our work here with state and local officials to improve coordination and achieve mutual goals, as well as our efforts to address issues of concern here on the ground, have yielded the successful results we have came here for. The Twin Cities and Minnesota in general are and will continue to be much safer for the communities here because of what we have accomplished under President Trump's leadership. I previously shared with you before I got here. Before I even got here, I met with, I said I was going to meet with the governor, the AG, and the Mayor Frey, Mayor Her, and I've done all of that. I've also met with various police chiefs and sheriffs. And one thing we all had in common was the importance of ensuring and maintaining public safety.
Come in.
Overall, we made a lot of progress through extensive engagement, meeting with them and other key stakeholders. And it is expected that those engagements and discussions will continue going forward in order to enhance exchange of information.
Hit the like button for me, guys.
And more coordination. As a result of this surge operation, we have greatly reduced the number of targets for enforcement action. And many criminal aliens have been arrested and taken off the streets, including murderers, sex offenders, national security threats, gang members, and other violent criminals. Just this week, ICE arrested a criminal alien with criminal convictions for rape, acts with a child under 14 years of age with force, lewd and lascivious acts with a child under 14. ICE also arrested 2 criminal aliens with criminal sexual misconduct convictions, among other violent criminals. Through targeted enforcement operations based on reasonable suspicion and prioritizing safety and security, ICE will continue to identify, arrest, and remove illegal aliens that pose a risk to public safety, like we've done for years. And our officers will carry out those duties with professionalism, integrity, and compassion, like we've done for years. We will enforce the immigration law against all persons in the United States illegally. I want to say something about the various unfounded complaints I'm hearing about ICE enforcement operations. During the surge operation, ICE has not arrested anybody inside a hospital. We have not arrested anybody inside of a school, an elementary school. We have not arrested anybody inside a church. As a matter of fact, the only ones that disrespected the sanctuary of the church were the agitators that have been arrested and prosecuted, and so far we have 9 of them. However, those locations are not off the table. I said from day one, there is no sanctuary for a significant public safety threat or national security threat. But as far as those stories about ICE going into churches, arresting people in hospitals, it simply has not happened. And if you have a case where it happened, you let me know. Because all the digging I've done here, I can't find a single one. Under President Trump's direction, we have obtained an unprecedented level of coordination with law enforcement officials that is focused on promoting public safety across the entire state. While I don't agree with Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellis on everything, I appreciate the support the governor gives to state agencies who coordinate with us in a manner intended to promote public safety. And I appreciate the AG having an open dialogue with me. Early on, the first meeting I had, acknowledging that county jails may notify ICE of the release date of an inmate, just as long as they don't hold them past the time they would normally release them. We now have the ability to arrest criminal aliens in the safety and security of jails throughout the state at the time they're being released, like we've done in other states. I've also directed the strategic placement of officers in certain areas throughout the states that can respond quickly to sheriffs that want to release somebody and notify us. We need to be nearby so they don't hold them unnecessarily. So we worked on a strategic plan to reassign officers in those key locations.
Thank you.
Arresting a public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail is safer for the alien.
Good evening.
It's safer for the officer and safer for the community.
How's everybody
I think
doing?
we all can agree on that. It requires less resources for at-large operations. It just makes sense. I'll say it again, as I've said many times, we are not asking local law enforcement to act as immigration officers. I don't want them to be immigration officers. We're the immigration officers. We just want them to be cops. We're asking law enforcement to coordinate with other law enforcement to help keep public safety risks out of the communities. We have also strengthened our existing coordination with the state to target and take custody of criminal aliens more efficiently and effectively. As a result of our efforts here, Minnesota is now less of a sanctuary state for criminals.
Okay.
And we are proud of the public safety threats we have removed from the criminal aliens out of the state. As I said in my first press conference a couple weeks ago, President Trump didn't send me here because the operations were being run and conducted perfectly. I came here to identify issues and implement solutions to improve our mission execution. Since that time, in order to improve target enforcement operations, I and my team here, we made personnel changes. We integrated BP with the ICE teams. We established a single unified chain of command structure. We strengthened joint intelligence and targeting capabilities. We deployed body cameras. We increased the footprint of internal affairs. We commuted zero tolerance for misconduct. President Trump also deployed me here to work with state and local officials to de-escalate the intense, volatile reactions and conflicts that have unfolded on the streets here between federal law enforcement and unlawful agitators. While working to course correct and improve how enforcement operations are being run and executed here, and even before I was sent up here, I've been saying over and over that forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering with a federal law enforcement officer is a crime in violation of USC 111. It's not okay. It will not be tolerated. Zero tolerance if you cross that line and put hands on a ICE officer. Not only is such activity unlawful, it is dangerous, and sadly we have seen tragic consequences, as well as adverse impacts on businesses and the communities here in the city. While the Trump administration supports everyone's First Amendment right to freedom of speech and assembly and to petition, it has to be done lawfully and peacefully. Because we will not tolerate unlawful actions committed by agitators who are just causing havoc. This is not the way to express your disagreement or try to reform federal laws. Go talk to your members of Congress if you want the laws changed in this country.
There you go.
Nor is doxing federal law enforcement personnel and their families. It's just not right. Enough is enough with this misguided, reckless, and shameful behavior. We don't want to see any more bloodshed. I don't want to see any more bloodshed.
I don't think anybody
I pray every night for the safety of our law enforcement personnel and the safety of those in the community, whether you're here legally or illegally. I don't want to see anybody harmed. If you break the law, we're going to arrest you. We have already arrested more than 200 people for violations of USC 111. The U.S. Attorney's Office has already accepted many for prosecutions, and some are still pending. I have also received commitments from state and local law enforcement that they will respond if federal law enforcement is being impeded or assaulted. They will shut down unlawful agitator activity, including arresting agitators involved and seeing them follow through. And we're seeing them follow through in those commitments. We've seen this past weekend that the state and local law enforcement have taken actions when it comes to public safety. And bless them for doing that. Since I have been here, I've repeatedly emphasized that the unlawful and violent agitator activity is unacceptable and must wind down as a condition for further drawdown of law enforcement personnel. I cannot remove law enforcement personnel while violence poses serious risk to our officers. I will not leave my officers in that position. It is worth knowing that in all my meetings and discussions since I got here, I've not heard one federal, state, local law enforcement, or judicial official, nor any member of the business or faith communities that I met with, say that ICE is an illegitimate agency that doesn't have a real mission. Quite the opposite. All I've heard is the acknowledgement that federal immigration laws passed by Congress do exist, and ICE has a legitimate responsibility to enforce those laws. ICE is a legitimate federal law enforcement agency. We're not out scouring the streets to disappear people or deny people their civil rights or due process. In addition to taking public safety threats off the street, ICE, here in this state, have located 3,364 missing unaccompanied alien children. Children that the last administration lost and weren't even looking for. That's because of the leadership of President Trump, these children were located. As part of the de-escalation efforts, I have called on state and local officials these past few weeks to tone down the rhetoric and denounce unlawful activities being conducted by the agitators. We don't have to agree on everything, and we definitely do not. But we all agree that the lawlessness and chaos and disruption that is occurring on the street needs to end. I want to thank Governor Walz for his messages focusing on peace and his support for the Minnesota State Troopers to respond to unlawful situations that put federal officers and the public at risk. I also want to thank Mayor Frey for taking a public stance against agitators setting up barricades that block streets and endanger public safety, and for directing the police to take those roadblocks down. Additionally, I want to thank Police Chief O'Hara, Sheriff Witt, and various other local law enforcement for their responsiveness and efforts to maintain law and order in the streets. We've seen a big change here in the last couple of weeks, and it's all good changes. I'm also pleased to report that we're seeing a notable decrease on unlawful agitator activity here in Minneapolis and overall throughout the state. This is great news for Minnesota communities that have been adversely impacted by the lawlessness and chaos in the street. We have what we call here QRFs, Quick Response Force, security teams, that get called out when ICE officers are out doing operations. They get into trouble, if agitators get out of control, if there's a danger and public safety is at risk, these QRFs respond to help these officers get off the X and get out of that situation. I asked today when I got here, I want to know what the QRFs call outs are, what their deployments are. I want to know every time a QRF is called out. The QRF deployments have dropped dramatically because we have less of that occurring, less of the agitator that cross that line. That is a good thing. That is a win for everybody, not just for the safety of law enforcement officers. It's a win for this community. With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude.
Wow. They're backing it down in Minneapolis.
A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue to the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety risk who shouldn't even be in this country, and to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation. Law enforcement officers drawing down from this surge operation will either return to their duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that. We will continue to enforce Title VIII immigration law throughout this nation. Prioritizing national security threats and public safety risks makes sense. But I'll continue to say over and over again, if you are here in the country legally, you're not exempt from our immigration laws. If we encounter you, we'll take appropriate enforcement action. For those that say we are backing down from immigration enforcement or the promise of mass deportations, you are simply wrong. Look at the data. Record number of arrests and deportations, and we'll continue that effort. Prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats doesn't mean we'll forget about everybody else. We will take action on everybody else. That's just a stone cold fact. A small footprint of personnel will remain for a period of time to close out and transition full command and control back to the field office, as well as to ensure agitator activity continues to decline, and that state and local law enforcement continue to respond to ensure officer and community safety. Additionally, federal government personnel assigned to conduct criminal investigation into the agitators, as well as the personnel assigned here for the fraud investigations, will remain in place until their work is done.
Fraud investigation.
I will also remain on the ground for a little longer to oversee the drawdown of this operation and ensure its success. In closing, I want to thank the leadership and senior management that I've worked with.
Hit the like button for me, guys. We got Tim Walz's reaction to this speech coming up next.
Determine deficiencies and challenges, present solutions, and implement improvements that will benefit how operations are run and executed nationwide. God bless the men and women of ICE, men and women of the Border Patrol. Appreciate everything you've done for us. Also, with sincere gratitude, President Trump and I want to thank the men and women of ICE and CBP and partner agencies who have been assigned here during Operation Metro Surge. You achieved a great success for the Minnesota communities. Thank you to your families as well, because I know they sacrifice also. Thank you, President Trump, for your vision, as well as your support and confidence in these brave, dedicated patriots that work hard to deliver on your strong commitment to law and order, public safety, prosperity for American communities. Today, we have the most secure border in American history. We are seeing record numbers of people being arrested and deported. Your promise to make America safe again is being played out every day on the streets of this country. I've said it many times. I worked for 6 different presidents, 10 different administrations. No one has done it better than President Trump. God bless this great country. I'll take questions now.
I mean, I'm not talking about that right now, but, you know, I'm sure that's a thing.
Yeah. Mr. Homan, as immigration enforcement continues across the country here in Minnesota as well, how do you hope to gain
I heard about it.
of individuals here that have kind of...
But I also saw him deny it, you know, so he's not been convicted of anything or arrested, has he?
On the street, but let's say 6 months from now, we still have the office here. We still are enforcing immigration across the country.
I mean, just saying it doesn't make it true, you know.
And what are you asking for the public?
Look, I just want people to look at the data on what this administration has done. You know, the number of public safety threats we removed from the streets across this country that makes these communities safer. ICE has had an office here for decades. Before it was called INS, Immigration Naturalization Service. This footprint will remain here. And they'll continue to do immigration enforcement here. But as President Trump has said from day one, we're going to prioritize the public safety threats. Again, but prioritization doesn't mean forget about everybody else. That means if you have a criminal alien here and non-criminal here, the criminal always comes first because he's the biggest threat to the communities. We're going to continue to force immigration law. But we won't get back to the footprint here, the normal footprint here. But there will be some
I don't know
security
if it's real or fake. I haven't seen any conviction.
The QRFs, until we're assured that those agitators or incidents either stay low or further decline. I'm not going to remove everybody out of the safety of our officers, but like I said, in Operation Metro Surge is ending. And in the next week, we're going to deploy the officers here in detail back to their home stations or other areas of the country that are needed.
So that is Tom Homan's speech. Now we're going to hear Tim Walz. All right, so the Tim Walz reaction to it. Let's hear that. This should be interesting. There you go.
How are you? Good to see you, my friend. I gotta come down and eat.
Yes, it's about time.
Make sure that she knows.
Yes.
So here's Governor Tim Walz with his response to Tom Homan.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start today expressing a deep sense of gratitude and a deep sense of pride to my fellow Minnesotans. Over the past 6 weeks, the state of Minnesota and the people of this great state have endured an unprecedented federal invasion in all aspects of life. Our sense of normalcy was shook to the core. The trauma that's been inflicted, certainly across an immigrant community, but to every single Minnesotan, is unlike anything we've witnessed. We've been through challenges. We've been through natural disasters. We've been through COVID. But this is something that I don't think any state has ever experienced. And through that entire time, the dignity, the compassion, the love, the care, and the absolute determination to do what was right never wavered amongst Minnesotans, whether it was standing in minus 40 degrees temperatures or it was delivering food to a family that simply wanted to feed their children. Minnesotans never wavered. And for that, I will be forever grateful. I think it's probably safe to say the rest of the country will be forever grateful because they showed what it means to stand up for what's right, to stand up for the true principles of this country, to stand with the Constitution, and to stand with human decency. And so I want to note that the announcement today by Mr. Homan, we are cautiously optimistic, as we've said, and that this surge of untrained, aggressive federal agents are going to leave Minnesota.
Well,
I guess they'll go wherever they're going to go.
They're still leaving enough people there for that fraud investigation, though.
But the fact of the matter is, they left us with deep damage, generational trauma. They left us with economic ruin in some cases. They left us with many unanswered questions. Where are our children? Where and what is the process of the investigations into those that
He's sweating.
were responsible for the deaths of Renee and Alex? So while the federal government may move on to whatever next thing they want to do, the state of Minnesota and our administration is unwaveringly focused on the recovery of what they did. And there will be many steps in this process, many answers that we still need to get and will pursue. But as we started earlier this week, one of the first things we can do and what we're focusing on today is what can we start doing on the economic recovery, the damage that has been done to our economy, specifically to small business owners, and even more specifically to immigrant small business owners, which for every other administration and for most of our history is the epitome of the American dream. Come to this country with nothing and build something to be proud of, build something that creates jobs, build something that creates this incredible diversity and a food scene across this state that is second to none, to entrepreneurship, to the work that they've done. Meeting a few weeks ago down at the Hmong market, and a gentleman who came here and got a food stall, and 3 of his children are now medical doctors that went through American universities to become medical doctors to help make this state the best for health care. Those are stories we should be celebrating, not dangerous police chases through peaceful neighborhoods, not little boys in little backpacks being hauled away, and not mourning of parents and family for American and Minnesota citizens being killed on the streets. So, Minnesota, on behalf of not just this state but the country, thank you. That same energy now needs to be directed towards recovery, to finding ways that people have done during these challenging months to go forward. So I want to say this damage is still being assessed, but we do know, and you're going to hear from some folks, you're going to hear from Henry, you'll hear from Commissioner Verlick about where we're at on the front end of this, and we're going to be proposing a reinstitution of our small business emergency fund. It's what we used very successfully during COVID in the recovery and the economic recovery that we saw in Minnesota that outpaced most of the rest of the country. We're going to be proposing a first-time $10 million one-time targeted loans, forgivable loans that we know, and I want to be very clear, is a very small piece of this, but what I am going to challenge as we get ready to start here in a few days, the legislative session, this legislative session needs to be about recovery of the damage that's been done to us. I am also asking our team, and I'm going to make appeals to our federal delegation, the federal government needs to pay for what they broke here. There are going to be accountability on the things that happen, but one of the things is the incredible and immense costs that were borne by the people of this state. The federal government needs to be responsible. You don't get to break things and then just leave without doing something about it. So we're going to be asking the federal delegation to be investing and doing the things necessary. We have been in contact with federal leadership as a negotiation is happening right now on DHS funding and all of the things that we have an expectation, whether it be the investigations, whether it be going forward, no masks, because this, I got to tell you, one of the things, and I'm in contact with a lot of my colleagues, both at the federal level with the Senate and the House, but especially governors. I don't want these folks showing up somewhere else and doing this. So the changes that need to be made, the investments that need to come back, they need to show, they being the federal government and they being this administration, they need to do more. But I'm not going to hold my breath that the federal government's going to do the right thing. What I am going to do is I'm going to bet on the people of this state. And when we come into this legislative session, an expectation is this should be a bipartisan effort to protect these businesses, to protect what we have in Minnesota, to make changes here to improve this state. That should be very easy. And I think we've seen just some of the data surrounding this. There's very few things in this state that are more unpopular than what just happened to us, and there's few things that are more popular than recovery and supporting small businesses. So Minnesota, I know you've been through a lot. I know that we're still in the deep part of winter, but it's going to be 40 today here. The sun's going to be shining, probably a pretty good metaphor for spring is out there, summer over the horizon, but it's going to take a lot of work. So the expectation is of myself and our administration and the elected leaders, we get busy in this legislative session,
like
start
button for me,
repairing
guys.
the damage from this, start putting in safeguards that it doesn't happen again. And I think using the momentum that we have to celebrate, Minnesota's reputation has been pretty well solidified out there of caring, gritty people who back down to nothing and do the right thing for their neighbors. And I think now we continue that same attitude into this legislative session and into this recovery to help the folks standing behind me and thousands of others.
Reaction press conference to Tom Homan's press conference. Next, we have Mayor Jake Frey from today.
Get back what they do best, creating jobs, creating opportunities, creating a good life.
I can't stand
being able to see their children go off to school and then celebrate by, watching a baseball game when things start up here this spring. We're not asking that much, but there's going to be work to do. You've got our pledge that we will do everything possible to make that happen. And today is a very small first step, but it is a concrete step that can make a difference. With that, I'm going to turn to Deed Commissioner Matt Verlick to talk a little bit about how we expect this program to work. And then we'll hear from Henry as a spokesperson for what the impact has been of a small business and what this can do to help. Commissioner Verlick.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Governor. And I would echo, first of all, the Governor's sense of Minnesota pride right now for all that we've been through and the way we have stood up, and also the optimism about the fact that we now may be at a transition point in this process, if indeed the federal presence will be winding down. But I want to emphasize what he said, that the economic impacts will be very long-lasting. It was maybe a couple of weeks ago or so that we stood up with some of these very same small business owners and highlighted there the massive negative economic impact that is resulting from the fact that a lot of workers don't feel comfortable showing up. A lot of customers don't feel comfortable showing up, and so we're seeing massive reductions in that foot traffic, massive reductions in revenue, et cetera. And so that's why it is so important, first of all, that the governor launched the Shop Local campaign as part of our Shop Local Stand Together effort in this month of February, and now this additional measure of the $10 million in targeted small business partially forgivable loans we think is another important step. And just to elaborate on that a little bit, the notion is that the loans would be 0% over 3 years. After 1 year, there would be an opportunity to seek 50% forgiveness on the basis of proving that you have had substantial impacts from the presence of the federal agents. The eligibility would be businesses with annual revenues between $200,000 and
$400,000. Go to the next guy.
Per link. I apologize for my accent. I want to speak in Spanish, but I have to speak English today. Spanish is my first language. I came from Colombia 23 years ago, looking for American dream. Many people, many immigrants from different countries came to America looking for the same thing, and we are working hard. And now it's difficult times for many families, for us, for many businesses, but we're still working hard every day, no matter what happens. We believe in our governor, we believe in the law, we believe in America. We're working for the dream. I want to read something that I wrote last night. Okay, my name is Henry Garnica. I own a Centromex supermarket at the East St. Paul, along with the partnership distribution company that serve other small businesses in the Midwest. Centromex is a neighborhood corner store.
All right, we're going back.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Back to the next one.
I'm grateful. Appreciate it.
You've been here 23 years.
Well, thank you, Henry. And to Henry, and I want to speak directly to Minnesota's immigrant community, by extension, America's immigrant community. We see you, we hear you, we value everything that you bring. We understand here in
Speedy Gonzalez talks better than that guy, for F's sake.
Minnesota, that there is no Minnesota without our immigrant community. And it was the wave of Norwegian and German immigrants a century ago, Hmong immigrants half a century ago.
What a setup.
Somali, East African, no matter where you come from. We believe in those words. Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be breathe free. Jeez, this is a place you can breathe free. And my message to you is, like the majority of Minnesotans and Americans stand on your side. They stand on the side that immigration is the core of who we are and that human decency. So as we go on this long road to recovery, it's going to be hard for many of you to get back the trust, to be able to go out again without fear you're going to be asked for your papers.
Fear.
Or to be singled out because of how you look. We in here in Minnesota have always made that clear, and I will attest that's why we were the target of this, because we are a successful multiracial, multicultural state that has one of the highest standards of living, that values our people and understands the people standing behind us are making that happen. So it's going to be a long road, but I think you saw, and I'll say it again, Minnesotans are decent, caring, loving neighbors, and they're also some of the toughest damn people you'll ever find, and we're in this as long as it takes. With that, we'll take some questions.
Governor, how did this come together? You've been in talks quite a while with Border Czar Homan. Can you walk us through that?
We have been communicating a lot, and I just want to note the way the state of Minnesota is addressing immigration is exactly the same today as it was 3 weeks ago, or 3 months ago, or 3 years ago. We've said that we are more than willing, and we understand it's our responsibility, and we support humane,
I agree, Rosemary,
rule of law immigration reform. It's why I've advocated as a member of Congress and as a governor that we need to have reforms that allow a path to citizenship for the folks we want here and the ability to do targeted enforcement for those who shouldn't be here.
And that's what they're doing. So we're going to go on to Jake Frey, the mayor. A clapback for the clapback of the clapback. All right, that's where we are. Mayor Jake Frey.
Good afternoon. Yesterday, it was announced that Operation Metro Surge will be coming to an end. And at the same time, the damage caused by this operation has been staggering. We knew from the very beginning that this was not about safety. It was not even about immigration. This was about stoking fear and ultimately chaos in the communities that we love. Our communities stood up in brilliant fashion. Neighbors stood up for neighbors. Groceries were dropped off for people that were otherwise afraid to go outside.
Why are they afraid?
We had people standing watch
Why
on
would you be
daycare.
afraid to go to the grocery store? I don't know. Why would you be afraid to go to the grocery store? Well, there's a couple reasons.
We had Minneapolis residents and well beyond saying that what is important right now is that we are united as a large family here in Minneapolis, and we're all a part of that family. Since it began in December of 2025, this unprecedented federal escalation has upended daily life. It has eroded trust and inflicted a whole lot of harm on the operation that we need to provide as a city. The whole world's been watching.
Any accusations of racism towards other members of the chat will be immediately thrown out of here. Don't do that. Have a fucking brain, okay?
Messages from across the country have reminded us that we're not alone. And the 2 times that I have left Minneapolis, what we have been met with is a whole lot of love. People are inspired by what is taking place in Minneapolis. And I got to tell you, I'm among those that are truly inspired by the residents that have stood up. But today we're here to talk about how destructive this operation has been to our city, but also how we plan to move forward. Our city team has had boots on the ground from the very beginning, and whether that's community service officers that have delivered food to families that are in need, or an emergency operations plan that has been executed from those early days in December to a both preemptive and responsive legal team that has been stepping up to the plate, making sure that these unconstitutional infractions are not just noticed, but we have a legal response to them. And then, of course, as part of this emergency, we've also seen great damage. Our emergency management team, led by Director Sayer, has been doing very hard and deliberate work to calculate what these damages have been while those damages are simultaneously being inflicted. At least 76,000 people are in need of urgent relief and assistance. We've seen at least $203 million in economic impact in just January alone. We were seeing somewhere between $10 and $20 million worth of losses to small and local businesses per week. Small businesses have collectively lost more than $80 million in revenue. Hotel cancellations at this point will exceed $5 million, and more than 75,000.
Well, who the hell wants to come there? Who wants to come? Anybody want to go to Minneapolis? Nope.
Additional people are experiencing some form of food insecurity. Thousands of school-aged children are in need of support and services. This is not even an exhaustive list. There is much more. Far beyond that, we'll ever have to comprehend. And it begs the question, was it worth it? Was this operation that has inflicted so much damage on our city that we can indeed calculate in real dollars, was it worth it? Was the chaos worth it?
If you can't stand this guy, hit the like button. If you like this guy, hit the like button.
Fear worth it?
Certainly,
here today.
this operation did not improve safety, and it indeed decimated trust. But I know this city. Minneapolis does not let hardship define us. We define ourselves by how we rise and how we respond. Our focus must now be on moving forward and making sure that our neighbors, our businesses have our support. So we're going to do what we always have done. We're going to rebuild. We will restore trust, and we're going to move forward as a unified city. Just as Minneapolis responded when federal agents sowed chaos in our streets and disrupted daily life, what you will now see Minneapolis responding in unified fashion is we're going to step up for those small local businesses. We're going to make sure that we experience that big Minneapolis comeback in full. People from around the country have asked, what can we do to help? And the answer is, upon this Operation Metro Surge ending, come to Minneapolis. Support these local entrepreneurs. Support these immigrant-owned businesses that have added so greatly to the fabric of our communities. And
a lot of those businesses are already gone because a lot of them don't operate on a profit margin where they can afford to be off for a month.
Fabric of these corridors. It's about the easiest ask that I could possibly make of you. Buy some incredible food. Stay at a hotel. Minneapolis is a tremendous city, one that I myself fell in love with and decided to start my life here. I am not unique. There are countless immigrants, and whether they're from Northern Virginia or Mexico or Europe, people have come to this city to start a life, and they love it. And so Minneapolis taxpayers should not be left to foot the bill of this situation that has been created by the federal government. And so we're calling on the federal government to fully step up, to provide direct financial assistance to our city, to stabilize our small businesses, and to help residents recover. Emergency response reimbursement for humanitarian assistance, infrastructure, public safety support, and then economic recovery funding. We're also asking the state of Minnesota to stand with us, to partner in securing resources, expediting relief, and ensuring we have the tools that are necessary to recover quickly. We know that Minneapolis is the economic engine of our entire state. For every $3 worth of tax revenue that Minneapolis raises, we get $1 back, and we are proud. We are proud to be that economic engine, and we are proud to help support the incredible smaller communities and towns and cities throughout our state. And at the same time, Minneapolis has experienced a great deal of duress over the last couple of months. As Minnesota, we now have the opportunity to stand together. By standing for Minneapolis, you are standing for our state. For those that are beyond Minnesota, by standing for Minneapolis, you're standing up for America. I'm going to now turn it over to Director Rachel Sayer of Emergency Management. And I just want to note, we have done a great deal of work since 2020. People have witnessed the.
I want to hear from the chief, so we're going to go a little forward here.
First, I'd like to state just that we are pleased with the announcement that the federal immigration operation Metro Surge has completed. The Minneapolis Police Department respects the role and the mission that the federal law enforcement partners, and recognizes that their operation posture can have a direct impact on the local public safety dynamics here in the city of Minneapolis. As far as our hope and our officers, as this mission concludes, as far as the Metro Surge, it will assist us with our operations and as far as the demands associated with our officers. We'll be able to not necessarily respond to the unlawful assemblies that have taken place. The protest management will be a lot better now and manageable now with the resources we have within our own police department. And the related responses from our requests from our state, our county, and other local agencies outside of Minneapolis will also be reduced. And we can get back to our core values here within Minneapolis of serving our communities within Minneapolis and giving them the service that they have expected from us over the years.
Yeah, he needs a little pep.
As far as our officers have worked tirelessly. These officers have taken days off, and those days off have been canceled. Our officers have canceled vacations.
Hit that like
They've
button for me, guys.
Birthdays, they've missed anniversaries, and they've done this so they can serve our citizens here in Minneapolis.
That's all right.
The one thing I will say about it is that I'm very proud, and Chief O'Hara is very proud of the fact that they have remained professional and they have shown great restraint when serving during these challenging circumstances. These officers, and along with our community members who are also very proud, we work here in Minneapolis together, community and police in the police department. And over the past several years, in a few months, it'll be 6 years, the police chief, Chief O'Hara, along with our mayor, along with our commissioner, Barnett, has put together strategies so we will make sure and certain that we are working together with our communities, and that's what we will continue to do. And that's what has gotten us to this part today of being able to serve our communities respectfully and making sure that we're treating them the way they want to be treated. Again, to our officers, again, to our communities, thank you so much for working with us over the years. We've developed strategies and programs that have been tested. And every time you're in a relationship, and our relationship with our communities, every time you're tested, you get stronger. And by getting stronger, the next time something occurs, we will come out successfully.
Right.
And I'm very proud of our citizens and our police department. And I just want to say thank you all for that.
Jeez.
And we're much appreciated as a police department for you coming along with us on this very difficult journey. Mayor.
Yeah.
We are in the midst of a galvanizing event. As difficult and as traumatic as this has been, obviously our city has come together in a really beautiful way. It's been our community members. It's been our city officers and our enterprise more broadly.
I
just had a meeting moments ago with about 15 CEOs from throughout downtown Minneapolis and beyond. And they are also going to be a big part of this effort and this recovery. We're looking at having some form of galvanizing event where we're bringing people together from 1,000 different backgrounds to celebrate our great city, to bring people into Minneapolis from across the country. And this kind of event is not going to be unique. In fact, I think we're going to have a series of these put on by a number of different organizations that celebrate the kind of pride and the inspiration that has been exhibited during the hardest of times. With that, I'll open it to any questions you might have.
Mayor, these are huge numbers you're talking about. Do you have confidence that you can get the aid you need from the state and the feds and not raise property taxes?
The total figure that we're talking about is $203 million. The direct impact to our city enterprise has been approximately $6 million. It's incumbent on us just to give people the reality of the damage that people in our city are experiencing. And look, I'm not too naive to think that we're going to go to the state and the federal legislatures and get the entire amount. That being said, we're going to be putting together a package through our intergovernmental relations team that we feel is both reasonable and can be met. And so we're going to be moving through those numbers in the near future.
Is there enough money to do things at the city level? There's been the $1 million in rental assistance, the $5 million small business relief package proposed. Is there money to do city level relief like that, or given the $12 million number that we could be looking at? Is there no more discretionary money for something like that?
So the question is there discretionary money to do these additional packages that has been put together? The answer is no. There is not free
it's all gone. That's why.
Money right now. Every dollar that is spent has an impact. There's no magic pot that we can
Not anymore.
tap that does not have an impact on property taxes or other essential city services. Money goes out the door, it means that we have to make some form of cut or drawback internally. So there are instances, and we felt this was the case with the emergency rental assistance, where it's necessary and it's worth it, where both we have the ability to provide some additional funds and there were cuts that could be made, and we had the ability to actually implement a program. That's another key part. There will be instances where it just doesn't make sense. And so we're going to be exploring each one issue by issue.
So they will be, this is what this was. This was Border Czar, Tom Homan, the reaction from Governor Walz, then this reaction to their reactions. So I'm going to be tracking every move, every last minute deal, shutdown announcements, and any new rules or crackdowns that drop while most people are sleeping. All right. So if you want to stay ahead of the spin, instead of catching the sanitized version tomorrow, make sure you subscribe, turn on all your notifications. And we're keeping an eye on this Guthrie possible arrest story coming up. A possible SWAT arrest. We're keeping our eye on that. And if that cracks off, I will be coming back on to cover it. You betcha. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for all the support. And I will see you guys on the next one.